raise your hand if you're excited for PSVR2. What's going on, guys? My name is Harrison, and we're talking about the PlayStation VR2. And I don't know. I'm trying to get a sense, a vibe for this thing that I don't know too many people that are actually excited about this. And I guess to preface my own excitement, I'm not a VR guy. My brother got the PlayStation VR, and I played it a little bit, and honestly, it kind of gave me a little bit of motion sickness that I never really experienced before. So I never really got into VR after that. My daughter does have the the Meta Quest 2, and obviously stuff like Beat Saber is super fun. But I tried playing Resident Evil, I tried playing the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners game, and again, I was getting like that weird motion sickness vibe out of it. I tried playing around with some of the controls and just to see if I can get a better feel for it, but I just could never. So VR has been kind of absent for me in my gaming life, I would say. So obviously my excitement for this thing, the VR2, is not. I mean, I'm curious to see what Sony does with it, but other than that, I will probably stay away from it. I do want to try it, of course, but I won't be playing it. So when that got announced, gosh, was it last year, like early 2022 when it got announced? They showed it off. They hadn't shown off the price yet. Hadn't told us what the price was. It obviously looks a lot sleeker. You know, it's OLED. It's still wired, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean, I know they want more power to come out of this thing, but at this point, I think anything wired for VR is kind of a step in the backwards direction. Now, I know they're looking for power, and this thing is more powerful than the Oculus Meta Quest 2. I'm gonna just keep calling it Oculus for the rest of my life. So I get wanting to have that power, but I know it was a nightmare for people with the first PlayStation VR. That it was just so many cords, and I remember putting it on and it was just like, whoa, this is not it. And when I played the Meta Quest and played Beat Saber for the first time, I was instantly drawn in. I loved it. I loved that experience. I love that wire-free experience that we've come to love. And obviously, there are other VR experiences, the Valve Index, and all that other stuff. But those are well over 1,000. So I just don't know if I trust Sony at this point. They haven't had the greatest track record with anything outside of like their home console stuff. The PlayStation, the PSP, the Vita, the PSP Go. If you guys remember that, the digital-only PlayStation, the PSP. Those sold decently well, but they just did not keep up with the games, and the games weren't that great. I mean, you had stuff like Uncharted, you had God of War, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel like those experiences were different enough to justify it to be on a handheld. I'd rather just play God of War and Uncharted on a regular console. So, and I know there was a lot of indie games, and that's what the PS Vita really became, was like an indie machine, kind of like the Switch, but the Switch does, it's a hybrid system. So, and I know there's been like, I don't know, yesterday IGN did like an article that the PlayStation needs to do a portable thing again, and I don't think it's in the cards for them right now. And going back to the VR, I mean, the first PlayStation VR was almost like dead on arrival. I mean, it launched, I think, was around $400 for that thing, $350, and they had some good games, but they didn't have a lot of first party games that I remember. And I think I hope it's not the case with the VR2. I know we're getting Call of the Mountain, the Horizon game, and there's some other games at launch, but I just don't know if I trust Sony with keeping up with this platform. And it's a really steep asking price. I mean, it's $550 for this thing that's tethered to the PS5, so you already have to have the PS5. And back when they announced it and the price, I just was wondering, who is this for, when the PlayStation was already really hard to get a hold of. Now they're saying that, and I've actually seen one in the store, so they're getting better with production. So there'll be more in the stores, and people will buy it, and then this will come out, and maybe they'll drop another $550. But that article just came out from Bloomberg that they have kind of halved their production in half, or their expected production in half. And then Sony quickly came back and said, no, we're actually, that's they kind of downed that statement, which production and shipment are two completely separate things. They very well could have expected to ship out 2 million units, but they kind of got the pre-order numbers, and they kind of got maybe like some surveys and the overall like hypeness of this thing, and they said, hey, let's only ship let's only ship 1 million. Let's keep 1 million, in a warehouse somewhere, and that way, we don't have all these machines on shore, and that way we don't have all these machines on store shelves taking up space. Retailers don't want that, and then, as a viewpoint of a consumer, you walk into the store and you see, 30 of these things, in cases or whatever on the shelves, and I don't know, people might think that it's not a very good product, and I don't think that's something that Sony wants to have that expectation, going into the launch of this thing. So I think that's smart, supply and demand. You put out 1 million, they get eaten up, and then you're like, all right, well, here's another 1 million that we have ready to go. We're producing more. So again, shipping and production are two separate things, right? So again, I don't know if I 100% trust Sony to keep up with games and stuff like that on this thing. Obviously time will tell, and we could speak it in a couple of years from now, and there's tons of good VR games for this thing, but we just don't know at this point. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys in the same boat as me, that you're kind of like, on the edge, or really on the outside looking in? I don't plan on getting any VR thing really at this point, but yeah, let me know how you guys feel. Are you guys excited for the VR2, and what games are you guys going to get? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation about it. That's kind of what my channel is about. I do report on some news sometimes, but I really like to have more of like discussion videos and speculation and theories and stuff like that, and just kind of talking about the game industry as a whole, and how I feel. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like this video. If you're this far into the video, you might as well give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll let YouTube algorithm pick one of my videos below for you guys to watch. Give it a click, and I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.